All right, everybody. On behalf of Trident Title, Performance Title, and Synergy Title, I want to welcome you guys to how to generate listings in a low inventory market. We're going to talk about some things that you've definitely heard of before and have some new spins on them, and hopefully some things that you haven't heard of before. And then next week, we're actually going to do a part two with a new tool that we have to help you guys as well. So next week, same time, same place. If you like this class, I think next week will help you as well. So we're just going to dive in, quick intro, and then we're going to cover today 15 different ways to generate listings now. Then we'll do a little summary and wrap up. So most of you guys I know by now. If not, my name's Ryan McHugh. I work with Trident, Synergy, and Performance. That was my Easter Sunday outfit there on the left. If you guys need anything, if you're looking to grow your business, that's kind of what we do. So I have been in the title world for a couple of years now, just helping agents grow their business. I ran a really big office, was a part of a really huge team in the past. So anything that you guys need, please reach out. Let us know what we can do to help you. We're going to spend all day today or the next hour just talking about different ways to generate listings. And at the end, if you do have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. But at the end, I really want to hear some action steps. So those of you that shut your video off and kind of conk out for an hour, just be sure to come back like in the 11:45, 11:50 range. Want to hear some action steps and see what you guys are taking in and what you guys are going to be, doing and really putting into action over the next week or two. I know a lot of people come on these classes all the time, and I appreciate that. Some of you guys are new. I see a lot of new faces, which is awesome as well. But I want to see you guys taking some action and leaving here with something simple that you can take one step and actually move forward on instead of just taking tons of notes. I am going to record this. So if you do want to go back or double back and go over any of them, please let me know. And we will connect that to you. I'll tell you how to get the recording at the end of the call. So without any further ado, let's dive right in here. I want to talk about one of the oldest things in the book first, because still some people do this, I know, but when everybody gets busy or when the market gets crazy or the world changes, these are the things, some of the basics that we're going to talk about are always things that kind of fall off the wayside. But I just want you to think back to probably some real estate class you've had in the past. It might have been with me, it might have been somebody else. And they tell you, okay, let's focus on expired, let's focus on canceled, let's focus on withdrawn. Just so I can get an idea in the chat, if you are currently calling current expireds, just type yes. If you're calling expireds, canceled, withdrawns, I'm not talking about you make one phone call every quarter. Like, are you consistently doing this as a lead source? Type yes. If you're not, type no. I just want to see A, who's awake, and B, who's actually doing this consistently. Just to kind of get a judge on the room as to who's doing what. So if you're currently calling expired, canceled, and withdrawns, type yes. If not, type no. And to me, what I mean by currently calling is probably at least 20 a day or 100 efforts a week. Maybe you bang those all out one day, or maybe you do them, spread out a little bit here and there. So I got 2 yeses. I would say a significant amount of, all right, pretty much all no's. Got it. 50%, Lee. Okay. 2 yeses, 150%, and the rest no's out of 60 people. So, if we were in a live room, I would just ask why not, and I'd probably stop right here, because the biggest complaint that everybody has right now is no inventory. We can't find anything to sell, and there are still, a lot of days I look at the expireds, and there's still 100 properties expiring a day. And when we're in a struggling market, I'm not sure why we're not attacking those. I know they're not fun. I know getting hung up on sucks, but let's just talk for a second. Expired, cancel, withdrawns. Number one, the current one. So there are actually, this is a fact, there are actually more active real estate agents right now than there are active listings in our MLS that we cover. So I know I have some people on here from all over the place, but usually we hover somewhere between 45, 50,000 agents, and usually we hover somewhere around 60,000 listings. And that number has kind of reversed over the last year, which is crazy. That being said, if you look at the hot sheets, if you look at the current expireds, we are still losing about 100 listings a day, every single day, which is crazy. So if we're not hitting expired, it's definitely something to put on the radar. I know a couple of you said you are. I really want you to think about old expireds too, because if you're not doing this, this is where you're really missing the boat. The truth is, as the market goes up and down and left and right and sideways, there's always going to be some people calling new expireds. And whenever I talk about it with agents, they say, well, aren't 100 other people calling them? And sure, maybe they are. But if that's your fear, if that's the script, if that's the excuse that you've driven into your head that you're going to use, then I want you to think about old expireds, because these are the ones where there really is some gold out there right now, because these people have, they failed in the past, right? They lost the game of selling their house. However, they did have a reason that they wanted to sell at some time. And as we know, and as we just kind of told ourselves, that a lot of people, or a small number of people at least, are calling the new ones. No one's really calling the old ones. A very, very small handful of you guys actually are making the calls on the old ones. But what I want you to think is guaranteed slam dunk old expired. So if you look back from basically rock bottom of the market, so depending on where you're at or what zip code or what area, but it's pretty much, somewhere between 2008 and 2010 is the absolute bottom. So when you look back at that, I just want you to think we know a couple of things about properties that expired from 2010 until even 6 months ago. We know, number one, their rate was probably higher than it is now. We know, number two, that they have equity, right? And we know that the market is hotter now than it ever has been in the past. So we have three kind of guarantees. We know their rate would be better now if they did something different. So maybe it's a refi for the lenders on the call, or maybe it's a tee up to sell and buy something else. We know that they have equity. Because whenever the bottom was, again, 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever year you want to call it that you think is the absolute rock bottom, we've appreciated steadily for somewhere between 9 and 13 years, depending on what you're counting as the bottom. And we know that the market is hotter than ever right now, right? We're seeing the highest volume we've ever done in our title companies and all the offices that I work in regularly. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So we know those old expireds are slam dunk. So to miss out on those, you're missing an opportunity. This is a time that we need to earn as real estate agents, because we don't know, at some point this is going to slow down and we're going to wish we called those expireds or knocked on those doors. And I really want you to think about rentals too. We're going to talk a little more about rentals later, but expired rentals is like the ultimate failure, right? Somebody most likely bought that property or has had that property for a while to be something that is making money, and then it sat on the market for likely 6 months unrented. So not only is it not making money, but it's costing money. And at the end of that, we want to give them the opportunity to be able to sell. So we'll talk about rentals more too. But yes, you might just pick up a rental listing because they want to rent it, but it's a great opportunity if they failed at renting to ask them if they're thinking about selling in today's hot market. So all three of these things are things that you should be paying attention to and putting in your business plan for expireds, canceleds, and withdrawals. Current ones, old ones, look back as far as like 2010. And of course the rentals as well. And you really don't even have to go that far back with the olds. You could even go, 18 months, 2 years ago, pre-COVID, all that stuff. You're right in a good time frame there. All right, next tip number 2 here, or second strategy to grab some listings in a low inventory market: unsolicited CMAs. When I talk about doing this, I don't mean preparing, an hour-long CMA like you're going on a listing appointment or preparing for an appraisal. Just something to find out if you're going to spark an interest and find out if something is there. So when we talk unsolicited CMAs, it could be random, it could be data-driven, it could be past client-driven, it could be in areas that you have some buyers looking or that are hot. But think about sending an unsolicited CMA. And I don't want you to overthink this. I know about 50% of realtors are the overthinkers, where they would spend 3 hours on one CMA and they would just never get a lot of these done. Usually I'm not the guy that says, use the automated reports, because we know, things like Zestimate and RPR and, all the other 8 million cloud CMA kind of things. They're fairly accurate, but the idea is just to get a rough idea, get it in that person's hands, or get it in their social, or get it in their inbox, or wherever you're sending it, and just give them the opportunity to see if it sparks the interest. You don't want to spend a ton of time on something if they're just going to say, hey, no, we're staying here for 10 years because our kids are in school, or we like the yard, or whatever it may be. But using unsolicited CMAs as something that you throw in to your lead generation strategy could be something that's really valuable for you. And I just want you to challenge yourself to just send like 1 a day, or 2 a day, or 5 a day, something that's not going to be completely overwhelming. But either send it in direct mail or send it through social media, whatever way you think that client is going to get the best response or it's going to work. And I always have this stupid phrase, but I always say lick the stamp, which just means send it. Like, just send it. Just who cares? Who cares if they don't answer? Who cares if they throw it out, or if they tell their friends, or they don't like the picture on your business card, or whatever? Just send it. You don't need to worry about it. Just send it. I just want you to think, I'm going to create 1 or 2 or 5 today, and I'm going to send it. And maybe it's your neighbors first. Maybe it's your past clients. Maybe it's your database. But get in the habit. Top agents do this all the time. They'll just send unsolicited CMAs and just say, hey, was thinking about you, or your address popped up, or I was in your neighborhood, just wanted to show you what the house is worth. I think based on this report, it's somewhere between 350 and 375. Just curious if you'd want to see what it really is worth. I'd love to meet you today too, or tomorrow at 4 for 15 minutes. Check out the house, see what's going on, and see if the numbers make sense for you. And if you get in the habit of doing that and you're getting in houses and you're seeing more houses, you're giving yourself more at bats, you're going to grab some listings out of there that you didn't expect. You're going to even grab some listings from some sellers that they didn't even expect, because life happened and they didn't know, or they didn't care what their home was worth at the moment because they weren't thinking about it, right? They've gotten through COVID and maybe they're putting their kids through school and they're working and doing 8 million other things. And if selling wasn't at the top of their mind, they just don't care. But when they get something in the mail or in their social or via text or however you send it that says, hey, your home should be worth now somewhere between X and X plus 10%, I'd love to come check it out, see what it's worth, really, get a real solid number and see if it makes sense for you to move. Maybe you move up, maybe you move down, cash out, buy up, whatever it may be. So just send it. Just lick the stamp, send it. All right, next, open houses. How many people are doing open houses consistently? I know I see some of you guys where you post the pictures and there's 75 people out the door, but how many people, just type yes or no in the chat. Consistently, I mean like minimum of 2 a month. How many people are constantly doing at least 2 open houses every single month? If you're not, definitely something that should be in your business plan, but how many people are truly doing at least 2 open houses a month? All right, 2 yeses again. Is this going to be a pattern? 2 yeses and a whole bunch of no's? 50%, Mike. Does that mean 1 a month? Vinny, you're not allowed to do them from the hospital, so that doesn't count. All right. So again, kind of a mixed bag, but more leaning on no. So I will just tell you, when I started at a company called Weichert. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. It's big in the Northeast. It's not so big down here. But when I started, I had a manager. Her name was Gloria, and I had to sign something in the beginning that said I would do at least 2 open houses a month. And the first month that I didn't, I was on probation. And if I did it 2 months in a row, I was fired. And I thought that was kind of crazy, but it also got me in the habit of, okay, these things must work if, the person that, is in charge of this whole office is kind of telling us to do that. But not a lot of people are doing that. And I realize we don't want to give up our weekends and COVID and it's beautiful weather and blah, blah, blah. But if this is the career path that we choose and we're looking for ways to generate more listings, a lot of people think all open houses are just for buyers. But really the truth is you have to think that the open house is the first opportunity for people to interview or observe a seller. And one of the strengths I think that we used to have on our team was we used to do these ridiculous open houses. We would do 50 signs and a red carpet and velvet queue lines and a popcorn machine, and it was a whole big production. And sometimes people would come over and be like, oh my God, it looks like a used car lot, like this is crazy. But that's a success, right? That means that it's a win. And a lot of times also the seller that's thinking about selling in the next year, they're hiding in their window across the way, and you see their blinds ruffling here and there, and they're looking at your open house. And then eventually at some point they pop over when it dies down, or usually it's when you're picking up the signs and they're going to be the most annoying time possible. They pop over and they say, hey, I saw that you did this open house. It looked like you had people here, 100 people here over 4 hours. Last weekend, Joe Smith from XYZ Realty down the street had an open house and nobody showed up. So what the heck are you doing different, right? That's the first time that you're really making an impression on someone. And when sellers are choosing someone to represent them, they want to see the person that's creating the buzz, right? And there's nothing creates a buzz like having 75 or 100 people in a line outside of the open house. It always cracks me up every weekend, when I see people that are doing that and they're like, well, I did 1 this month or 1 this quarter. Like if you have that many people at an open house, you're doing something right. And I realize that some of that is the market. Like I totally get that. But you got to take advantage of this while you can. You have to earn while you can earn here. And use this. So if you're not doing open houses, I want you to take that into consideration. I saw someone threw in the chat, I work in a virtual office, how would I get open houses? So 2 strategies really that I would do. Number 1 is whoever else works in your office too. I get it's not a physical office, or for some of you it is, but whatever office that you're in or a company that you're working for, go in the MLS and do the My Office listing search first. It's one of the things that you can tag and put in the top of the toolbar. If not, it's in like the menu button, and it will show all the listings that are represented by your broker. And I would hit them first. So if you work in whatever office, it doesn't matter, whatever company, it doesn't matter, but wherever you work, see who else is in your same company that has opportunity. And I would start there first. And then I would always start with out of area 1 second, or do out of area 1 second. So for instance, if you're in Palm Beach and you see the prefix on the listing is AX, I believe that's Miami, or FX, or one of them is Fort Lauderdale, one of them is Miami. I think it's FX Fort Lauderdale and AX is Miami. If they have a listing in, just say, Jupiter, like, is that Miami agent really coming up from Jupiter regularly to do that open house? The answer is usually no, not all the time, but it's usually no. And that's an easy phone call, right? It's hey, Mr. or Mrs. Miami Realtor, saw that you had a listing. It's on my street or in my neighborhood or in my farm or whatever at 123 Main Street. I recognize you're from Miami, figured you might not be doing it. I was just curious if you mind if I do an open house this weekend. So there's always opportunities out there. No matter what happens in the market, there's always going to be somewhere between, I don't know, 30 and 75,000 listings in our MLS. So there's always opportunities out there. But you have to reach out. You have to make it as easy for the agent to say yes as possible. If you just post on social, hey, I want to do an open house, that agent has to do a lot of work. They have to get in touch with you, figure out the house, the time, set it up. But if you reach out to them and say, hey, I saw your listing at 123 Main Street in Jupiter. I know you're a Miami agent, saw that it was vacant. I was just curious if I could do an open house Saturday from 1 to 3 this Saturday and next Saturday. Just make it as easy as humanly possible for them. And it gives you the opportunity. And like I said, you're really starting your audition to be the listing agent for the neighbors there. And if you're doing the activities that kind of revolve around an open house at a high level, like door knocking and circle prospecting and making phone calls, you're hitting these people a couple times. So maybe you do the circle prospecting, which we'll talk about later, Wednesday through Friday, you call 200 houses around the open house that you're going to do. And then Saturday you knock the door, and then Sunday you do the open house. Now these people have seen you or heard you, or at least recognize that you're, an agent 3 times in a couple of days. So you're doing a good job auditioning at a at a high level. So make sure you check that out. Sherry said in the chat, she said, are you sure you can do an open house for any listing? Every broker is a little bit different, but usually, yeah, there's nothing that stops you from doing it. All right, moving sales, estate sales, and garage sales. We see this all the time. And sometimes people are just getting rid of their crap, or they like to sit outside and sell things. But most of the time it's, they're leading up to something. And this is something that you can target and kind of turn it into some fun and a little bit of a game. But this is something that you can search for and look and be good at, because a lot of times, obviously a moving sale, the people are getting ready to move. And usually at that point, they've already made a decision. But an estate sale or a garage sale, very often these are things that people are prepping for. And usually people put this information on social media. They'll put it on Facebook. They'll put it on Marketplace. They'll put it on Craigslist. You'll see the signs. Create or develop some sort of a moving sale, estate sale, garage sale toolkit or flyer or piece of marketing, and then just keep that in your car or keep that handy so that whenever you have the opportunity, you see one of these, it gives you an at-bat to have a conversation with people that you might not have had, because usually these people are just starting the process. They're really not already ready to move, but they're kind of just getting going. So find out who is moving by looking at things like this. These are some of the early cues. And some things you want to do too is get some vendors on a list that people talk to before they're going to move. So a lot of times handymen or women have the inside access, right? If you have a good handyman that's in your database, maybe they give you a heads up when they're going to, fix the door and paint all the trim and clean this and fix that in someone's house because they're getting ready to put it on the market. And same with all these moving estate garage sales, get in touch with these people and figure out who you are able to get in touch with, get in there early and start kind of prepping them, because these happen every day, regardless of COVID or not. They're happening all the time, right? Estate sales are often, but we see garage sales every weekend still. And a lot of these people are making the prep to move. All right, next, leverage other agents' buyer struggles. I want to just do this to prove a point. How many of you guys, so there's 59 of you guys on the call right now. If you have a buyer right now that you have not been able to find something for, whether you just started working with them this weekend, or maybe you've been working with them for 3 months and it's just miserable to find things right now because inventory is low. If you have a buyer right now that you cannot find something for, I just want you to say yes in the chat. Just say yes in the chat. If you have a buyer right now that you just cannot find a house for, they're ready to go, they're pre-qualified, pre-approved, maybe they even have cash, but you just can't find a house. No matter what you do, no matter how many times you look, there's 73 offers and whatever, you just cannot find something for someone. So type yes in the chat if that's you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22 right now. And I know half of you are asleep and not paying attention. So 22 out of 59. That's like, a third, more than a third, right? So what if we just did something like this? And if you guys want, in my private Facebook group, I will facilitate this to prove a point, as long as we get the title work back on these deals at Trident, Synergy, and Performance. If all of you guys that just said yes, what if we just made a big group and all of us said, Yes, I have a person. Here's what they want. I have someone that needs a 2-2 condo on the ocean in Jupiter under 500,000. I have someone that needs a single family home in XYZ school district in whatever, Wellington, 3-2 with a lake. And then you guys just actually played the other side of it. One of the problems that I'm realizing that agents have is they don't want to do the hard work. They want the easy work. They want stuff to pop up on the MLS. But think about the other agents' struggles right now. So if I was somebody on this call that really like wanted to do some work and get some listings, I would go into the chat and look at everyone that said yes. And then immediately after this call, I would just shoot them a message and say, hey, the last one on my list is Bill Jorgensen. So I would just say, hey, Bill, tell me about the buyer that you have that you can't find anything for. Well, I need a 2-2 in XYZ. Great. And then you can then circle prospect, go knock on those doors, go into the tax records. You could use our data tool, which I'm going to show you at the end, how to find these off market listings, and then just put a deal together, right? You know, Bill has the buyer. So like, what is the struggle with putting these deals together? If we wait for stuff to come on the market, I guarantee you of the 20 something of you that just said you have somebody that you need something, probably half of you have the buyer that's looking for the same house, right? So we're going to compete against each other just in this. But if we work together, figure out what buyers agent struggles we're having, it wouldn't be that hard. We used to have this big board that we were just putting in our office, and on one side of it was buyers and one side of it was sellers, but they were like the pocket listings or the people that we couldn't get. And I realized you can't do pocket listings and all that fun stuff now. But think about buyers, right? If you had a list of all the buyers that you needed and you just reached out to agents, there are some agents that have that listing in their pocket coming up, coming soon, or are actually prospecting every day that can dig that up for you. And make it a lot easier. So think of all the buyers that you have for which you just cannot find any inventory, and think of all the other agents that have that as well. And at the end, make sure you guys, I'm going to send you guys how to get into my private Facebook group, and I will facilitate this in a chat or a message, a group even in our little group to make this thing happen. So just think about that. What you can do then is the I have a buyer, right? So this gives you the opportunity to do 4 things with this. This is kind of its own tip, but it's also kind of playing off the last one. It allows you to door knock. It allows you to do social media ads. It allows you to do the wanted posters, and it allows you to give specific offers. And I have 2 scripts here for you. But a lot of people just aren't doing this. They're saying, well, I have a buyer and this person's ready to buy. They're sitting in my pocket ready to go, but I can't find anything. Nothing's on the MLS. And whenever something pops up, 3,000 people see it in the same day. And, you know, I never get a deal. So we have to think outside the box on what we can do here to create inventory. Because if we're not creating our own inventory, you know, it just isn't coming as fast as we would like. And who knows how long, you know, forbearance and all these things are going to last, where, you know, we might be like this until September. So if you guys are sitting on income, if you know you have a buyer that's a $300,000 buyer and that's holding back, you know, $8, $9, $10,000 of income for you, you have to either be willing to do this or partner with someone that is willing to do this and hire some of these things out, whether it be door knocking, social media, wanted ads, or some specific offers. So I just want you to think of these 2 things, 2 easy scripts here that you guys can copy or take a picture of if you want, or if not, I'll have the recording. Simple door knocking script. Hey, Mr. Seller or Mr. Potential Seller, I represent John and Susie Smith, who so badly want to move into whatever neighborhood we're standing in, Smith Farm. They're pre-approved for $500,000 and they want to buy your house. Have you ever thought of selling your home? And you're going to be standing there with like the contract or the pre-approval letter. So they don't think it's a bait and switch. They're just trying to get in the door. They're just trying to list my house. This is a simple door knock that you can use our data tool. You can use IMAP. You can use a lot of things to kind of reverse engineer the list that you want to go after. But we have to make the effort on the other side of this. The good thing is that if you do this with your buyer, you have the opportunity to double-sided deal. And the good thing is if you use the strategy before this, you get a listing that you already have a buyer for, and it makes life nice and easy. And then the second piece of this is for like a social media ad. These ads are working really great right now. I have some people doing them in different areas, different cities, different subdivisions that are working really great. So it goes something like this. The ad, it's a picture of like the sign or a house that you know is in that neighborhood. It's not one of the stock photos that's from like, you know, Denver, Colorado, when we're trying to sell a house in, you know, the Isles in Wellington, whatever. Simple ad script with a nice picture. Are you thinking of selling your home in the whatever area? So it could be a subdivision, it could be a school district, it could be the Wellington area, whatever. We have a home buyer ready to purchase. Inventory is tight in the area, so you get a fast sell and a great price. Buyers are, you can say whatever you want to say about the buyers. I know there's the whole thing with the buyer letter now. The buyers are a nice family relocating soon. We're trying to help them by getting the word out on Facebook. And then it's a specific need. So exactly what do they need? They need 4 beds and 3 baths. They want to live in the Wellington School District. They're moving because they got transferred for work. They can spend up to 600,000. They have 2 kids and 3 dogs and 4 fish, and they're wonderful people and whatever else you want to say about them. This is going right in the ad, right? And you're even saying in there, like a disclaimer, this is not a bait and switch. The buyers are a real family who need to move now. If your home meets the criteria and you think about selling, contact us here at whatever your number and whatever your email is. So this is an actual ad that you can run that will generate. So if you know anything about social ads now, the targeting is down to 15 miles. You can't go smaller than 15 miles. But if you drop the pin in Wellington, let's just say in the Isles or whatever neighborhood you farm or work in, do 15 miles within that. So it's the smallest area. And then make the picture and the ad copy specifically targeting that area. The person that lives in Jupiter on the beach is not going to respond to the Wellington Isles need a home for sale. It doesn't, they won't do it. So you're using the ad copy to kind of target it yourself. So if you're not doing these things, door knocking, social ads, wanted posters with specific offers, you're missing out. All right, next, let's talk database. 20 contacts a day. Just be honest. How many people are honestly making 20 contacts a day? And I know some of you are so slam busy, you don't even have 20 seconds to eat every day. But how many people are actually making 20 contacts a day to their database and hunting for business? Like truthfully, honestly, hunting for business. Because I know it's easy to play victim right now, and I'm not beating anybody up, but who is actually out there every single day saying, okay, I'm going to go make this happen? Every one of us, myself included, has a seller in our database that we don't know about yet. And we also have a seller in our database that they don't know about yet, meaning they don't know that they're ready to sell, but they don't also realize that, oh my God, money is cheap. I could sell my house for top dollar, cash out some of this equity, move up, move down. And are you really talking to your database at least once a quarter? Because if you're not, if that's not something you have been doing, you have to look over this last year. We've had a lot of reasons to reach out, right? COVID, are you safe? Are you healthy? Politics, mortgage rates, whatever the heck you want to talk about, stock market, GameStop, whatever it is that you're into. There's plenty of stuff that we've had to talk about. Right now, the message is simple and clear. We have no inventory and we have a ton of buyers. If you've ever thought about selling your house, it might be the best time ever right now to sell. You're going to likely get top dollar. And because money is still cheap, we're not at all-time lows. We're at historic lows. Because money is still cheap, you have the opportunity to leverage the sale into something else. So who are you talking to? We need to start reaching out, within our own network. And I know this is a basic one, but a lot of people are just missing this out. And when I'm talking to realtors, they're saying they're not talking to 20 people in their database a week. And these are the people that already know you, like you, trust you, and are willing to listen to your advice on real estate. If we're not reaching out and touching them, it's much harder to hit strangers, and all of them know someone. Everybody knows somebody right now that's moving. Like, that usually is the case, but I feel like it's multiplied by 10 right now. And if we're not reaching out and making an effort at this, we're missing some real opportunities. All right, next, the good old fashioned FSBO, some of the favorites I know of some of you guys. I know we don't all love FSBOs, and the truth is right now, if they do a halfway decent job on pictures and pricing and they get it up on the market, and they answer their phone and respond, the truth is some of them are selling, and we just need to be okay with that. Some are going to sell, some aren't going to sell, and so what next? We need to just move on. But the opportunities right now is for some of the FSBOs that have been sitting around, or some of them that you talk to and they get overwhelmed really quickly. So as a real estate agent, if you've done a lot of open houses or a lot of transactions and you get 50 offers and 50 people in line at an open house, it might be overwhelming in the moment, but you're a professional. You've done this before. You know how to handle it. If you're a FSBO who sold, 3 houses in their whole life, 2 of them were the realtor, and 1 of them now they're trying to do it on their own. Very often after that first weekend, they're just completely overwhelmed. And also, there are still FSBOs out there that are failing miserably. Now, we know usually it's because of price, but a lot of times it is marketing, photography, staging, exposure. It's a handful of other things. So you need to look really for a couple of things. Really, there's 3 things you're looking for in the FSBOs right now. Because again, some of them you're going to call and they're going to say, screw you. I put it on the market yesterday. I already got an offer. I don't need your help. And they're right. The truth is they're right. If they've already gotten that far and they're under contract and they're working with someone, whatever, they might have made it. But there's still tons of them that are out there just sitting around. You really need to ask them 3 things. Number 1, do they know the process? Because usually they think, oh, I just put the sign in the yard like this guy's doing here. Puts the sign in the yard, and all of a sudden, he gets offers and we're under contract and we close. So do they know what that process looks like? Do they know that the contract is 12 pages? And if they live in an HOA and it's 55 plus and it's on the coast, there might be, 4 more pages of addendums. Have they done a seller's disclosure? Have they picked their title company yet? Are they working with someone that's going to actually help them get this file closed? Or are they just trying to save, at the end, what ends up being somewhere between 1% and 3% that they're actually trying to save? So do they know the process? And that's a simple question. You could call and say, hey, Mr. Fizbo, saw that you listed the other day. I'm sure you're getting hammered with calls. Just curious, have you selected a title company yet? Have you thought about the process? Have you reviewed the contract? What are you going to do if you get an offer tomorrow? Just ask questions and find out what they know, and kind of see where they're at. The second thing you want to talk to them about is, do you have some sort of a unique offer? Do you have something that you can offer them that either no one else is or nobody else wants to? So one thing we always used to do is just open houses on a Fizbo. Nice and simple, nice and easy. And you can say, listen, Mr. Fizbo, I want to do the open house for you. I'm going to bring 50 signs and all my goodies and gadgets, and I'll make you a deal. If someone walks in, they actually buy your house and you really don't want help and you are really just so against realtors and paying that money, you're on your own. However, if somebody walks in, they want to buy another house, they're mine, right? They're all for me. Nice and easy, very simple, unique offer, something that you can do different. For some of you guys, I know a couple of people that are even just offering to go and kind of spot them the photography and say, listen, let me do a 1-month listing agreement. So you're not tied into everything. I saw what your picture's like. I know you said on the phone you're not getting a ton of exposure. Let me come check out the house. I'll help you organize and prep a little bit. I'll bring my own photographer, videographer, and you sign a 1-month listing agreement. All of you guys know if you're pricing it right in this market, 1 month is like 28 days more than you need. So you don't really have to stress that. You have the opportunity to give a unique offer now where people are going in there and saying, oh, I'm only taking it at 6 months. Who cares? If the thing doesn't sell in 3 days, it's not going to sell anyway. So what does it matter? Get out there and offer them something unique, either an open house to do for free, maybe some sort of marketing package, some sort of photography package, or a real short-term listing that proves that you're willing to bet on yourself to make this thing work. Not too difficult, but something that you can definitely do. And the other thing is show them the money. I see these on the market all the time. I've actually gotten a handful of flips this way. Is just by looking on Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com and looking at something and just knowing they priced it wrong. And usually we think Fizbo's, oh, they're going to price it high. But like 25% of the time they price it, 25, 30, 40, 50 grand the other way. And you have the opportunity to say, hey, listen, I see you're at 145. Or 150, whatever. Let's just keep the number simple. I see you're at 150. Are you offering to pay a buyer's agent commission? Yeah, I'm paying 3%. Great. So that's $4,500. They have that built in there. If I could get you enough to make you extra money and cover my 4,500, would you be willing to listen to that? Yes. So now we only need to get the price from 150 to 155, right, to cover our commission in there, or 154, 500, whatever the number is, to cover our 3% of 150 is really not that much. And in the market that we're in, we all know we're seeing multiples over ask all the time, every single day. And that's not going anywhere for at least the next couple of months. So be willing to bet on yourself again and say, listen, I will do this. I will list your house at 175. And if it sells, you pay me. And if it sells anything below 150, your original number, and it's going to affect your net, you don't pay me, right? Do some sort of an adjustable commission that proves that you're willing to bet on yourself to get this thing sold. And you guys know you're going to do that. Most agents are not doing that. They're just going in there and giving them a normal listing pitch or doing the bait and switch, oh, I have a buyer, let me come preview it, blah, blah, blah. Think about what you can do that helps them understand the process, is a unique offer to them, and at the end of the day shows them the money, because that's all they care about. They're doing this because they don't like realtors, but really because they just want to save money, right? 1 to 3% is usually the big holdup. All right, next, past clients. So nice and easy one, but I just want you to think 3 different things, right? Number 1, are we sending happy anniversary cards, like actual home anniversary cards, whether they be digital? Some of you guys have platforms already built in for them to be digital, but are we doing this at all? If you look back at your past clients and you say, okay, I've been in the real estate game. Some of you I see on this call have been a year. Some of you I know it's been 25 years. So if you look back at every file you've ever gotten paid on, are you sending them something on their home anniversary every single year? It could be a rose. It could be a handwritten note. It could be a dinner gift card. It could be a coffee gift card, whatever the heck it is. But are we actually sending them their happy anniversary thing just to check back in? And yes, we're doing this to say happy anniversary, but we're also trying to stir the pot, right? And see, hey, if we stir the pot enough, something's going to come out of it and somebody's going to want to sell. Second, are we sending those people CMAs? We talked about the unsolicited CMAs before. What if you had a virtual assistant that you paid $2 an hour or $4 an hour? Or maybe you have your kids that are at home driving you insane with COVID, or maybe you have a spouse that's driving you nuts with COVID, whoever it may be. Whoever is at home sitting around, pay them $1 a CMA to hit your past clients or to hit clients in your database, and just send one out once a month or once a quarter. Hey, it's Ryan over at XYZ Realty. Just wanted to send you an update. Here's what's going on in the market. Here's what it looks like your home is worth. I saw that you bought it for 150. We think it's worth 250 now. You could use our title app real quick, punch in some information and show them what their net would be and send them a screenshot of that and just say, I see based on my CMA, your house is worth 250 roughly. I know you bought it for roughly 150. with closing costs and all the fun stuff that goes with that, you probably have 85,000 of equity. If we can pull you out $85,000, would that change your life right now? Would it make you move? Would it make you buy, sell, go on a vacation, buy a car, buy a watch, whatever the heck it is? And then just kind of analyze and showcase the opportunities, right? So analyze to them or with them where they're at in the market. So in that example, if you send them the thing and their house is worth 250 and they owe 150, so now they have 100,000 in equity, showcase to them what the options are. So you can say, hey, listen, you can take that equity and you can move up. So you can move up by using that equity as your down payment to get into a, I don't know, probably a 350 or a $400,000 house that most likely is going to be bigger or better location or newer or whatever. It's going to be a step up and their payment's going to stay the same because they're just transferring their equity into something else and keeping their payment very, very, very similar. So analyze their situation and look and just give them some options. A lot of times people just send these CMAs and then they get some sort of a response or, oh, wow, that's interesting. I didn't know I had 100,000. Show them what that 100,000 means to them. Because imagine if they go and buy something for, I don't know, 400 grand and they put $100,000 down, right? They're having no PMI, so their payment's going to be cheap. They're going to only have a loan on roughly 300,000. If they bought a house a couple of years ago and the rate has now gone down, their payment is going to be pretty darn close to what it may have been before, and they're going to get their upgrade. They're going to get their move up. So instead of just assuming that they know that, we need to really kind of analyze what their situation is and showcase that to them. But our past clients are the best people to do this with, especially if we've paid any attention to them. Even if we've done a crappy job on follow-up, a lot of us have them on Facebook, and I'm guilty of this too, right? You sell someone a house 10 years ago, and now you see, oh my God, they bought a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo, and now they have 2 kids. We can analyze that situation and then we can showcase them options to get these kids into their own bedrooms or to get them out of mom and dad's room or whatever it may be. But we have an opportunity with past clients to reach back out and do this. Next, circle prospecting. Write these down. 5 reasons to circle prospect. If you've been on a lot of my stuff before, you know this, but circle prospecting is so powerful right now because all the real estate agents in the world are focusing on the people that need to buy or sell in the next 90 days and have already told us that. The circle prospecting reveals the people that need to buy or sell in the next 90 days, but they haven't told anyone yet. So 5 good reasons to circle prospect. This is anytime a home comes up in your world. It might be from your broker. It might be from your team. It might be your friend. It might be another agent that says any broker advertise. But 5 reasons to make calls. Number 1, just listed. Number 2, a price improvement. So if a price gets adjusted or improved. Number 3, an open house. Number 4, something going under contract. Or number 5, something just selling. So with things selling as quickly as they are and more homes closing now than ever before, it's nice and easy for us to make these 5 calls. And it's very simple. You're just going to say, hey, whatever the neighbor's name is. Hey, John, it's Ryan over at XYZ Realty. Your neighbors, the Smiths, right down the street at 234 Main Street, had hired me to sell their house. And guess what? We just put it on the market at $350,000. And we wanted to know if you know anyone thinking about moving to the area. Right? That's a just listed script that we can copy and paste and do the same thing for the price improvement. Hey, Joe Smith, it's Ryan over at XYZ Realty. Your neighbors, the Smiths, down at 234 Main Street. You might remember I called you last week. They had hired us to list their home and sell their home at $350,000. Well, guess what? We just improved the price to $339,999. Who do you know now with this great price improvement that's thinking about moving to the area? Right? So nice and easy calls, nice and easy scripts for all these things, but we're touching the people that aren't on the market and haven't really thought about it yet, but we're trying to spark that interest based on the success of their neighbors around them that are buying and selling and moving as well. Next, the farming, the good old farming. You just have to think 2 things, geographic versus psychographic. So how many people are actually farming a geographic area and how many people are farming a psychographic group, which means, a certain interest or maybe a certain age range or first-time home buyers or investment buyers or beachfront condo people or whatever it may be. If we're not really attacking and diving into our farm right now, we're missing more than ever. This last year has been the time when people have had the opportunity to grow a farm better than ever before, because whenever communities or areas or the world is in distress, the people that take that market share never give it back. So those of you that have already done this is definitely a plus. Those of you that haven't yet, I do still think you have some time before this, burns out a little bit. But think about who or what group you're farming and getting involved and getting in with them every single day and making sure you're connecting with them on a higher level than normal. Real estate investors. Hopefully some of us are working with investors or maybe are investing in our own business and our own trade here ourselves. But just think of a couple things. What investors have issues right now? So as someone who invests in real estate myself, there's been plenty of issues with permitting and fun things since COVID started. And most of that stuff is cleared up and fixed right now, but there are people sitting around on property that maybe they ran out of money, or they are looking for something specific and they can't find it, or they have something that they just can't get rid of and that's holding them back from something else. So reaching out to our investor marketplace now, or our investor database right now, is more important now than ever, because there are some people that got scared or got squeezed by the Airbnb kind of game. There's some people that got squeezed by permits, that HOAs and condos have been cracking down on people, doing rentals or doing work, right? There's plenty of HOAs right now that are not allowing contractors, and they're not allowing them for a certain period of time. And some of them haven't been for a year. So some of us are sitting on flips or investments that have been sitting around collecting dust because we legally can't get in there to do work. So who is ready to offload that, take the loss, or take the project, put it behind them and move on? Connecting with those investors right now and just checking in on them is good. So most of them are doing really well right now, but I promise you there are some that are struggling, and having that network is very important to kind of add a different strategy to be able to grab some listings in a low inventory market. All right, rental listings. This is one that still nobody does. I teach this all the time and nobody does. I don't really understand why. But nice and simple script. I just want you to think of this. Hi, my name is whatever your name is. I see you have a property for rent at 123 Main Street. Would you be considered, or would you be interested in selling this thing for top dollar in as is condition? Look at expired rental listings. Look at the rentals that are on Craigslist, that are on Facebook Marketplace, that are privately held. Look at the FRBOs, the for rent by owner. Sounds ridiculous, but look at the FRBOs, right? The for rent by owners, and realize who's out there renting right now or struggling to rent, like we talked about earlier, and give them the opportunity to get out. And some of the key parts of this is you can sell right now for top dollar and as is condition. So someone that is sat on a rental for 6 months, although in theory they probably need to renovate or drop the price or do something, they don't want to do that. They want to hear, I want to get the most money possible and I want to do the least amount of work possible, right? Most money, least amount of stress, least amount of time. If you can provide that as an option to them, there's a great option. So go on the MLS and look at rentals that have expired in the last 60 days. And these should be your targets for the next 60 days, because those people have failed. They have an asset that's, hurting them instead of helping them right now. Help them get out of it. And if you only end up getting a rental out of it, not that big of a deal, right? At least you built the client, built the database, made a couple bucks. But a lot of you guys are going to realize that those expired rental listings, those people have just thrown their hands up because they're watching their friends and other people they know and the news where people are making money on real estate hand over fist and they're failing, and that's their ticket out, or that's a want to get out. Find the distress. So are we searching pre-foreclosure, short sale, forbearance? And I know these things have been held up and caught up, but if you're not talking to your database or talking to people about forbearance right now, you're missing the ball, because we're starting to see this and it's going to get worse, especially through this month as we talk about taxes, for real estate, taxes for income, all these fun things. When you think about forbearance, there's plenty of people. The last stat I heard was that in Florida, it was 9% of mortgages were in forbearance, that they stopped paying, now over a year ago. For some people, they haven't paid in a year, 14 months, 16 months, whatever it may be. And they think it's all well and good because they're just going to tack these 14 or 16 months on to the end of the loan. And I truly, genuinely think a lot of the banks are going to do the right thing and just let them do that. But we're forgetting some key things that go into our payment every month. Things like insurance, right? We get a homeowner's insurance bill that is escrowed in our payment. I'm sure you guys know this and it's obvious, but we're not thinking about this. Taxes, right? Property taxes, usually a small chunk of our payment every month gets escrowed to go pay off taxes. Now, all of a sudden, taxes are due and homeowners insurance is due, or over the last couple of months it's been due, and there's no money. So those people think, oh, well, no big deal, I'll just refi. Well, you can't refi because you haven't been making payments, right? So these are great opportunities to help people sell, to get out of a situation. And we're still definitely on the early, ground level of this. But at some point, the world has to stop this, allowance for people to not pay their bills. It's going to happen at some point. They're going to stop the eviction moratorium and all this crap. At some point, it is going to happen. It might be in July now. It might be September. It might be next year. Who knows? But there are people that are already feeling the effect of this. And if you're learning this now and becoming the expert at this now and marketing this now, it's going to be what rides you through the next wave, because the next wave, whatever we think, it can't stay like this forever, right? At some point, things are going to slow down or flatten out a little bit. I don't think it's going to fall off the world. And some people may think we're going backwards, but there is going to be a point where things flatten out and these forbearance have to get into the marketplace. And if you're preparing yourself for this, this is giving you an opportunity. Think about the people that made a killing in short sales in the past. Did they necessarily do anything better than anybody else? No, they just knew what they were doing. They marketed it and they hit the ground hard. It was the market of the moment and they hit it. That's kind of where we're at with forbearance right now, right? A lot of foreclosures and all these things haven't been filed, but at some point, all the websites that track these things are just going to explode with tons of them. So start preparing what it's going to look like for foreclosure, short sale, forbearance. What is that marketing going to look like? Who do you know in your database that's already kind of running into these issues, and can you help them? Because there's an opportunity here. If it was me, I would probably be marketing this forbearance stuff right now. Like, are you more than a year behind on payments? Do you not know where your real estate tax money is coming from this year? Question mark. And just a picture, that's a great ad to start conversations with. All right, and data. This is kind of leading us into part 2 of next week, so don't disappear yet, but I want to talk about data. To me right now, I think data is probably the most powerful tool to use to be able to generate listings, because the truth is most of the world, most of the world in the real estate agent hands or eyes, at least, they're going after the small percentage of people that want to buy, sell, or invest now, because that's just what we do as real estate agents. We want the low hanging fruit. We want quick, we want money, we want instant gratification. And I get that, been there, done that, still get it. I understand. However, we need to use data to predict and to help create in environments that we don't have. So for most of us on this call, some of the Facebook groups and some of the things I posted this morning was just, if you don't have 5 listings right now, you should be on this call. So I'm assuming most of the 60 people that are on the call don't have 5 listings right now, but we have the opportunity to use things that are given to us, use tools that we have to help get us there. So when I talk about data, these are the things that I think of right now. I think of the empty nesters who are in a house that is just way too big for them. I think of the people that are looking to upsize, kind of like the example I gave you before. Maybe they bought a house a couple of years ago, had some kids, or grew or added to their family or got married or whatever, and they're in a smaller place than they need to be. I look at the downsizing people who COVID was an opportunity where someone in their family did well, or maybe they went off to school, or they moved out, or they figured their life out, or whatever. So now they need to downsize. I look at the people that are in the PMI fall off category, meaning they've been in the house for a little while. There's been some crazy equity built up over the last couple of years. So they're at the opportunity now where their PMI may fall off, and they have the opportunity to either refi, maybe get out of that FHA, get out of that old conventional, change up their approach, maybe reduce their payment, or maybe they're comfortable with that payment, and reducing $200 a month in PMI could help them move up, because they can keep that same $200 and maybe they move up to something that's 50 or 75,000 more expensive. Certain equity percentages. So I look at people that have large chunks of equity, 50% plus, and are thinking, man, I should probably cash out, right? Because how much higher is it going to go? How much crazier is this going to get? Do I cash out now and downsize, or figure out life and have a pile of cash? And then I look at people that purchase in certain years. And we talked about this one earlier, but to me, anyone that purchased from 2012 until like 6 months ago is just a guaranteed target, because we know they have more money. I mean, we know they have more equity. We know their rate was worse when they purchased, no matter what. So these are opportunities for us to look at data and really be able to dive in and grab some listings out of that. So what I'm going to do next week is I'm going to show you a step-by-step, screenshotted everything, video, everything with how you use data with the tool that we have internally at Trident Performance and Synergy to be able to allow you guys to use data to find the leads on this. I did one, I'm not sure if Dave Ward's on the call, but me and him did one this morning with someone that was looking for a very specific target in Jupiter, and we were able to get them 500 leads, 500 leads, only in Jupiter for one of these on the list that was very specific, with cell phone numbers in about 15 minutes. So if you are interested in this data stuff and want to do that, tune in next week. You guys will start getting the emails with the link, and we'll have another round or another class on that. So in summary, I think we need to look at our options and kind of go back. I'm going to ask for action steps here in a minute, but in summary, I think we really need to look at our actions, and instead of being a victim to, oh, the market's crazy and there's not enough listings, there's not enough inventory, blah, blah, blah. Let's go out there and create it. And if it's not for you, do it for your buyers, right? If you got into this business to be a real estate agent, I'm sure you got in because no schedule and no boss and do whatever you want and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you have a fiduciary responsibility to that client. And if your client is looking for something, they're looking to spend, and they've trusted you to guide them through that process, you have a responsibility to make that happen. And if you don't realize that, or you don't recognize that, this just isn't the business for you. I know we do it for money. There's not many other things that we can do, and we could do a couple pieces of paper and make $10,000. But at the end of the day, we have a fiduciary responsibility to our client to be able to give them the best service possible. And the best service possible is not always piling into an open house with 75 people, offering 25,000 over asking price, waiving an appraisal, and hoping we beat out the other 100 people in line. Sometimes it's going above and beyond and figuring out how we can put this person in a home that gives them the opportunity to succeed, have equity, and financially build their life correctly instead of just overshooting what's going on in the marketplace. So I know sometimes we don't have a choice. I get that. I understand how crazy the market is. We did 400 something closings last month, so I understand. But I just want you guys to think outside of the box, and hopefully we did that today. So if you want the replay, I'm going to put my email in the chat in a minute. You have to email me for it. Don't just say me in the chat, because once I get off of this, the chat goes away and I never see it again. So all of you guys that are already working with us at Trident Performance and Synergy, we appreciate it. If there's anything that we can do to earn your business, please let us know. I know we have all of our staff and everybody's working like crazy. So Dave, Melissa, Gab, Tracy, thank you guys for everything. All of our internal staff too. April or March was the best month we've ever had. So thank you all for that. Kara, thanks as always for the slides. These always look awesome. So thank you. Getting them done right down to the wire here. Some of our tools, we're going to talk about this data tool next week. So I strongly suggest you guys be on the call next week at 11 o'clock. And then we're going to start rolling out like one tool a month and being able to make sure that you guys get that. If you haven't already joined the Facebook community, just search Ryan McHugh Real Estate Trainer Inner Circle. I'm going to put it in the chat and get on there, and we will be able to see a lot of different things on there. So let me put that in the chat. Real estate, I'm going to type here. If you search for that group on Facebook, it's private, so you have to request to join. But if I see that you're on the call today, I will surely let you in. Coming up Thursday, we have Better Call Paul with our attorney, Paul Krosker. For those of you that don't know, we do a little session with him every Thursday where he teaches us or we talk about something that's going on in the market. And next week, Monday, same time, same place, 11 o'clock. It'll be a new link, but same time. We're going to do a data tool to help you guys get listings in a low inventory market. Before we disappear, what I want you guys to do is type in the chat, type in an action step that you got from today. What's something that you learned today that you can put into play? And I'm going to also go back through the chat and see if I missed anything or any questions. But I want to see some action steps. So before you guys leave and check out for the day, type in some action steps. What's something that you learned today that you're going to put into play that's going to help you generate more listings? Miriam said, I don't know how to get open houses. I work in the virtual. Okay, we talked about that one. Sherry, can you do an open house for any agent? Yes. With their permission, obviously, but yes. Rob, prospect and referral pre-market. Perfect. And he said, there we go. Market coming soon. Deerfield duplex, 850K. Nice deal, Rob. Laura, where on county site do you find the forbearance list? You don't. It's not on the county site yet. This would be more of a database reach out. Rose, I'm unable to log into Title Pro when I try to reset the password. It asks me to call. I'll look at yours today. It probably just expired. If you don't use it for a certain period of time, it expires. Everyone that said thank you, you're welcome. Sherry said I would be calling old expireds and rentals. Love it. Rental listings, Vanessa, good. CMAs to the past clients, good. How do I get the transcript? I'll put my email in the chat and you can email me and I'll send the video of the recording. Lori, the older expireds, good. Lee, forbearance, circle, prospecting, and expireds, good. Laura, call some expireds, good. Other Lee, rentals and searching for the equity, good. Angela, Furbos, I love it. It sounds like those Furby toys, if you remember. I'm probably dating myself with that, but Kevin, work the office listings, good. Bill Jorgensen, unsolicited CMAs, love it. Rosa, prospecting with direct mail, good. Ted, marketing for forbearance foreclosure. Not sure exactly the marketing plan. I would pick one of those, either forbearance or foreclosure. Learn about it yourself, so make sure you understand it, and then try to just run ads or have conversations that start the conversation. That's what you're just looking to get into conversation and find out the people that are struggling with forbearance. Rosanna said all the above. If you do all 15 of those, you will be rich, girl. Andres, unsolicited CMAs, love it. Miriam, how to look for open houses, how to look for the circle prospecting, good, thank you. Laura, social media, try to find the two different buyers' homes, good. Julie, social media ad, good. Trident Dave, yeah, learned to have his kids pay his kids to work for him. Love it. Mike, unsolicited CMAs. Lori, open house is good. Sherry, good to see you too. It's been a minute. Farming, good. What email are we using to request the playback? I'll put that in there right now. Mark, the Furbos and the old expireds, good. Lee, met you in Ignite. Oh, thanks, man. And Tracy, expireds and rentals. I'm going to put my email in the chat right now. Give me 1 second there. All right, email is in the chat. If you want the replay, email there, and then whenever it gets finished and gets wrapped up tonight, I will do that. And unsolicited CMAs, good stuff. Anybody, I'm going to kill the recording here, but anybody have any